Hi there, welcome to the new week on this market analysis video over here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we'll quickly recap what has happened last week and look into the upcoming week. What are some of the events that you want to take note of? Following that, we'll look into the charts and share with you some potential trade ideas and opportunities for this week here as well. Now, if you take a look at last week, overall, it's a relatively quiet week as we've mentioned in the previous video because of a couple of holidays and of course not much of an event other than the Canadian BOC rate statement as well as the dollar NFP itself over here, right? And we can see that BOC, Bank of Canadian, actually raised its rates to 1.5, but it's not something that's surprising. Many analysts has already expected that to do, and we don't really see much of volatility coming into CAD during that particular event as well. And on Friday we do have NFP, but the data came in was a little bit of a mix. So unemployment rate actually went slightly higher at 3.6. Average hourly earning was at 0.3 with the expected one was 0.4. The positive side here that we have an uptake is the NFP itself, which came in 390,000 versus the expected of 325. Okay. Having said that, while it's a mixed data, we do see that the dollar actually strengthened quite a bit as of Friday. Again, if you actually look into last week's video, which we release at the start of every week, you do realize that we have already anticipated the dollar would probably be strengthening. Okay, of course, nothing is 100%, but the catalyst that kind of pushed the dollar strengthening came in when these data here were released on Friday. Okay, so later we'll take a look at the charts to further follow up on what we have talked about last week as well. Now going into this week here, overall it's a relatively shorter week because on Monday we do have a couple of holidays, right? So the market is going to be lightly quiet, and we're going to kickstart the week with RBA coming in on Tuesday. Okay, and you can see here analysts is expecting a raise to 0.75, so do keep an eye on Aussie if you're trading on that. And then on the later part of the week, on Thursday, we have the ECB coming in. So ECB here is overall still neutral to bearish in terms of fundamental perspective, okay, because many of the banks are actually hiking rate, but the ECB, European Central Bank, is actually still maintaining interest at 0%. Okay, so relatively it's on the bearish side on the fundamental point of view. Okay, and on Friday itself we do have the CAD and the US side. So Canadian, we have the employment change and unemployment rate, and of course US over here we have the core CPI, okay, which can be giving us some volatility in the market because these two data are rather important to the Canadian and the dollar respectively as well. Okay, so do take note of what are some of the risk events if you're trading the respective currency. Okay, do take note of that as well. Okay, so with that, let's jump into the charts over here and share with you some technical analysis and of course trade ideas and opportunities for the week. So let's start off with the dollar index over here. Okay, so last week we kind of anticipated that we might see some strength in the dollar, and we did see the dollar strength coming in on Friday, right? Post NFP, and moving into this week here we are continuing to hold on to a bullish bias. Okay, now from an Elliott wave perspective, adding in a little bit of technical patterns and of course Fibonacci over here, we are expecting the dollar to continue strengthening a little bit towards this high around 103.1, and from there there's a good chance that we might continue to see the dollar weakening, and that will give us a very decent kind of head and shoulder pattern over here as well, with an impulse followed by a correction, and therefore the probability is higher to the downside. Okay, however, that would be perhaps on the subsequent week. So for this week here, our focus would be more on to capitalize on any further strength for the dollar to the upside. Okay, so with that said, euro dollar over here would likely continue to see a little bit more downside. However, the key level you want to keep an eye on is around 1.060. Okay, there's a good chance when the market reaches that zone, we might see a little bit of a bullish push. Okay. So depending on your strategy, of course, if you're short term, you might want to look for an intra-week sell. However, for those of you who are more towards like swing trade, like myself, personally, I would suggest that you want to be patient and wait for market to reach around this zone and look for a buy opportunity instead. Okay, because the pattern over here is rather clear. We have this strong push. This seems to be developing a corrective structure over here, and if that's the case, there's a high chance we will see some reaction from there to the upside. Okay, so euro dollar here for me, I'll be looking for more of a buy opportunity. However, within a week, you might have a short-term sell opportunity. Now, pound dollar is rather similar to euro. Okay, so overall, kind of similar pattern that we're seeing. We have this little impulse, wait for a pullback. Somewhere around this zone would be a decent opportunity for us to look for the buy. Okay, so nothing much. However, between the euro dollar and the pound dollar, I would say the pattern that is forming right now, euro dollar is a little bit clearer. Okay, and because of that correlationship between euro and pound, if you were to select one, I personally would be focusing a little bit more on the euro side of things. Okay, yeah? Now next up we have the Aussie dollar. Okay, so Aussie dollar has been moving up for a couple of weeks. However, this up move here isn't very impulsive, and we can see that overall it looks a little bit more on the corrective nature. And with Friday dollar strength, we do see Aussie dollar come down a little bit as well. Next week we do have RBA statement, which might give us a little bit of volatility in the Aussie. Now from a technical point of view, the idea over here is as long as the market is able to maintain below this recent high around 7280, there's a good chance we might see short-term downside on Aussie dollar back towards 7056 and 0.7 even number. Okay, so if you're interested in monitoring this, I would say you want to look out for any sell trade opportunity at least to the downside with a potential target around 0.750. Okay, now can this go further? Naturally, the answer is yes. But you might see some reaction around the zone around 50 and 618 Fibonacci retracement. So my suggestion is at least put some take profit over there. Okay, so rather straightforward and clear structure on the Aussie dollar. You can look out for sell opportunity this week here. Now on Kiwi, it's more or less the same. They're correlated in a way, but the pattern over here suggests a little bit more on the corrective structure that's developing sideways. So if you're looking to sell the Aussie or the Kiwi, my suggestion here is to focus a little bit more on the Aussie side of things. Okay, perhaps Kiwi will be a little bit more supported, and you see something like that forming more of what we know as an expanding flat. Okay, so my view on Kiwi here is perhaps you just want to be patient. Maybe this week, just leave it aside. Focus a little bit more on Aussie dollar instead. Right? Now, dollar Canadian, we do see a very decent WXY structure. Okay, and of course the price has been respecting this channel very neat as well. Okay, putting a little bit of fits, we do have the Fibonacci 100% extension here as well. We do see a little bit of reaction. Okay, so the idea over here is that there's a good chance the market will probably hit higher from here, and this week you might want to look out for potential buy opportunity. Okay, now it's not necessary that market we're gonna go all the way back to its previous high. Perhaps it will just come back towards somewhere around this level. So if you're taking a buy, okay, do manage your trade, and of course take partial profits along the way. Now going to the higher time frame, hey, this can simply still be just a corrective structure, and as I mentioned, there's a good chance this can still come back down. Okay, so short term, dollar Canadian, look for upside. Okay, and of course you want to manage your trade along the way. Now in terms of dollar yen, this is a very solid trade. Okay, last week we did cover that this is actually a very corrective structure, and therefore you want to look for a buy. So if you actually did that, it's actually reaching close to our profit target. Okay, I would suggest if you are taking this up trade, this buy trade, you might want to shift your stops, at least somewhere around the zone to protect whatever profits that you have. And of course, the take profit is going to be there. Ideally, we're going to hit our targets maybe by Monday or Tuesday, and then that would be great, right? That would be done. Okay, so nothing much from here. Once price hits this zone, you want to be out of the market. Okay, don't sell it or don't buy it yet. Okay, we want to give it some time and see how it reacts, what a pattern that's going to form. Then we'll come back and make more informed decision from there. Okay, so that's on dollar yen. Rather nice trade if you've been following. Now let's take a look at gold. Okay, for me over here, gold seems to be developing what we know as a potential expanding. Okay, that might look something like that. Okay, so we might see a little bit of downside on gold, but overall, as long as the market is able to maintain above this low, which is around 1786, we should be overall bullish on gold. Okay, so if you're trading gold actively, my suggestion over here is to be patient. Okay, and wait for the market to come back down towards this 50 and 618 Fibonacci. See how it's gonna develop from there. If it's gonna be a crawl, then that will be ideal. Okay, then that's where you want to look for the buy trade to the upside. Okay, this might perhaps develop later part of the week on Wednesday or Thursday. Okay, so do keep an eye on that. Now last one here is S&P. Okay, so last week we did get a pop. Before that, right, the prior week we get a pop, and then after that, last week we started to see a little bit of a consolidation, which is great. Okay, because if the market continue to do a little bit of consolidation that looks like that, we might have a high probability that S&P may have bottomed over here, right, which is around 3800. Okay, but it's a little bit too early to say because of course the market can then just reverse and come back down. So we're gonna give it a bit of time and see how it's gonna develop from here. Okay, overall, if it's just gonna be consolidating like that, you might want to start focusing on buy opportunity. Whether is it gonna be a breakout trade or a decent retracement, really depends on the strategy over here. Okay, but for those of you who are trading into indices or looking at investment, okay, do start to pay a little bit more attention to the equities market because this week here opportunity might present itself. Okay, so that's all from me. I hope it's clear so far. That's all from my side. All the best for you, as well as for those of you who are trading. Okay, general reminder, do manage your risk, and I'll see you guys in the next one.